Welcome back. Today it's a really hot day, so it made sense to not be in the kitchen too long, and I still fancied something a little bit tasty and warm. So I've got something simple. I've got a beautiful courgette, a nice big one. I've got an onion I've chopped. I've got 2 cloves of garlic, some salt and some pepper, and some olive oil. And this will be done in no time. In my microwave, I have cooking 2 baked potatoes. I've got some olive oil and a generous quantity of olive oil. And I'm just going to put my onion in. Quickly chop up my courgette. Those go for the chickens. Now I'm just going to take a nice spoon, and I want them to get a bit of flavour from my oil. I'm turning my light down. You can see that it's sort of medium light now. And what I'm trying to do is to get them soft enough and so that I can puree them with this little gadget over here. And I will be adding these. When I have pureed them, I'm going to squeeze the juice of 1 lemon. I'm putting in some salt and pepper in a second. But one of the things you might want to use instead is some peri-peri. In fact, I probably will, and not do the pepper and do some salt. So I'm going to let those cook for about 5 minutes. And because it's hot and we are sweating, we are having some salt. But you don't have to add that. You can just add some peri-peri or just the pepper. And this has a wonderful flavour for a dip. You think with these ingredients that it's going to be tasteless. Courgettes are not highly perfumed, but in actual fact it makes a creamy, smooth, sweet, really light, fluffy, gorgeous dip. It's a great use of the summertime courgettes, and we do get a lot of those, and they're not expensive. Well, it's been about 7 minutes. Now, just as a little side note, had you wanted to save a lot more energy so you don't cook it for 7 minutes, I mean in total it's about 10, but if you didn't want to do that, you could cut them very, very fine with a mandolin. You could grate your courgettes, but basically you need to be softening them in oil as opposed to just boiling them or putting them in the microwave. So we've got some courgettes that are browning on the outside. We've got our onions soft and juicy and caramelizing, and it's pretty good. Now what we're going to do is add 2 sliced cloves of garlic. And the reason we're doing this at the end is because garlic goes bitter if it's cooked more than a couple of minutes. And I really don't like bitter garlic. You do sometimes see it in dishes, and there's nothing you can do once you've burnt your garlic and it's gone bitter. You're aiming to just bring the flavours out, soften it slightly, and you don't really want to do much else to it. And at this point, I will be adding the peri-peri. We've added the salt. There's just the lemon to do when we blend. So it's pretty straightforward, really. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a couple drips of that. Peri-peri has a lot of a ginger flavour. It is a peppery based flavour, but it's much more mellow and slow acting and warm in the mouth. It's not as fiery as Tabasco. Tabasco, you couldn't use that quantity in this quantity of vegetable, you would die. Tabasco is fiery, it hits instantly. This is a slow mellow after you've swallowed, and it slowly warms the mouth spoonful after spoonful. So it's a very different way to appreciate peppers. And it's got more of a ginger background. It's easier to cook with, shall we say. You're less likely to overdose. Now, I'm going to probably turn the heat off now. We are really there. And you can see all those little brown caramelized bits produce wonderful flavour. Wonderful flavour. Now, I'm putting them in here. I'm going to go in here because it's easier for me to use the magic wand to pulverize them. But I mean, you could use whatever you wanted to puree them. Right, that's good. Now I want some of this. I'm just squeezing them over the top of my spatula so as I stand a chance of catching the pips. The lemons at the moment are really juicy. Not quite sure whether, I think these are coming from southern Spain, and they are particularly good. And they're very, very zesty and sweet, which is exactly what we want. So it's about the juice of half a lemon. I know I've used a whole one, but it is a very small one. Now that, I'm just going to take a little taste. Oh, it's lovely. It's always lovely, this. Now that is perfect for a vegetarian or a vegan, and we just put our potatoes on a plate and serve it with them. But this would work cold with little crispy toasts or those triangle crisps or anything. It's a wonderfully versatile, very inexpensive, quick dip. And anyone can have this. It's got no dairy in it, and yet it tastes as if it does. It's really lovely. So enjoy.